I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
It's a great practice, and the reason for that is the people. I'm very into service and making sure that people are happy with what they receive because there's so many choices in dentistry. We try to practice the golden rule dentistry, which basically means that we treat every patient as if we were the actual patient ourselves. People are nervous to come to the dentist. There's pain involved, and they probably had a bad experience. My staff and myself are very passionate about people, and we love taking care of people and changing their mindset about oral health and maintaining that healthiness.
Hi, this is Kimberly with the Red Booth Show, and we are here at the Studio Lounge for the Sundance Film Festival. And I have Wren Barnes here with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to have you here because I know you were a part of the producers panel that was here at the Studio Lounge.
Yeah, it was last Friday night. It went really well. We got great feedback, and we were able to talk about feature film funding and distribution and answer a lot of questions on the panel about that with the audience.
That's fantastic. That's a very important topic, obviously, for filmmakers. One of the key factors in how you're even going to get your film made, right?
You know, there's a lot of great scripts out there, and if the P&A is there and the funding, then you're able to get it out in the theaters where you have the audience around the world being able to actually see it, and that's what I'm passionate about, getting a good message and a good script seen and out there. So, yeah, I think it's important to getting the message shared.
I'm so excited because, obviously producing movies is a huge passion for a lot of people here at Sundance, and the fact that, you have worked on so many of them, and you have a very cool history as well, which I was hoping you would talk about as a producer.
Yeah, sure. I can share a bit of that with you. So I kind of decided when I was like a teenager, I'm really passionate about film. So my plan was I went to film acting school at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts in Manhattan, and I graduated there. And then I got my associates, and then I got my bachelor's in business from University of Central Florida. So I wanted to go into, I didn't want to be just like an 18 or 19-year-old, hi, I'm in Hollywood, I'm just another person. I wanted to enter from the producer's angle, and my education was really important. I won a national modeling contest when I was 19, and I turned down the contract because it was so important to me to get my business degree. So then I worked in a medical device out of my bachelor's program, and I had this thing where I got in this really life-changing event. I actually got rear-ended by an 18-wheeler on the interstate at 70 miles an hour, and I flipped. And there's a really cool longer story to it, but in essence, I basically realized I'm still alive. This is a miracle, and why am I not pursuing my dreams? I've done my plan now, I got my degrees, I got my professional experience, and I'm like, I want to be back in film, and just really my career's really taken off just exponentially over the past few years. I'm really, really happy to share that with the world, but what I can help achieve and accomplish.
Well, yes, obviously a special moment like that. I mean, it's very traumatic, but it's also like, what am I doing with my life, right? So.
Oh, I wouldn't know if I'd say, what am I doing with my life? I feel like I've had a very successful life, and so it was just more like when you're really true to your passion, and you realize, for me, it's like, this is my life. I need to take ownership of that. I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to hear people go, oh, statistically you can't, you don't, a lot of people say that. And I'm just not in that 9-to-5 mentality. I'm like a very entrepreneur and very inventive. And I'm going to go for it. And I'm not going to let fear take over. And I never, ever, ever really felt bad about the accident. From the moment I was slipping through the air, I'm like, wow, if I live through this, this is amazing, because there's a good will and purpose in my life out there, and I want to find it and do it.
I couldn't agree more with everything that you just said. Anyways, it's fantastic. And I know you've been also doing acting in some films that are pretty big films too coming up. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, on the other hand of producing, I've been an actress ever since I was younger. I was in October Sky when I was younger, and I worked with Dolly Parton when I was younger. And so that kind of came full circle right when I got back into film again. I did a movie with Dolly Parton again. And so, because I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, which is where she is. And so then, yeah, I worked on a Rob Reiner film. I worked with Chris Robinson from Jurassic World recently. I worked with Steven Seagal on a film, and then I'm going to be on Independence Day 2 Resurgence. It's a very small part, but it was a great experience being on a film with a budget like $200 million, and so and that's what I want. I want to be able to. I feel like there's never been a role I've ever regretted. I've always felt like I want to be empowered to say no. I'm not going to wear that or say that. Since my goal is so focused on being positive influence, so I love now that coming in as a producer, I have these roles coming up, and they're just the parts that I want to take, and that I, as an actress, classically trained and everything, I can go, wow, this is going to be such a great role to carry a rich character and so forth. So.
How exciting. Well, I hope everybody goes and checks out your, online, finds out about you and the movies that you're in and everything like that. Where can they find you?
I'm on IMDb as Wren Barnes, W-R-E-N, like the bird. Barnes spelled like Barnes and Noble. And then I've got Facebook and Instagram, and I'd love to keep in touch with my fans there and to kind of show them all the pictures of all the fun things I've been doing lately. It's really exciting.
Amazing. I just want to say how happy I am to meet you as a producer as well. Obviously I haven't worked on all the amazing movies that you've worked on, but it's really inspiring as well as a female to see other women doing producing, and the way you're approaching it is obviously working really well. So do you have any advice for the ladies out there?
Yeah, I think there's certainly, I feel like a lot less women in film industry, but I don't feel like there's any reason to overcompensate with a need for aggressiveness. I feel like retaining to my femininity and also being still confident and assertive if I need to lead with something. And so finding the balance between that, and also just sometimes you have to I feel like I have to bring up my college degrees when I'm talking to people. They're like kind of laughing at me, and then they're like, oh wait, actually I have, and then they, and that's kind of the nature of the business. But I say that you shouldn't let anything physically be a stumbling block to what you really truly feel like you need to do, and that goes the same with people. They literally will be like, oh, you're just a model, whatever, and you're like, I'm like, no, I'm actually not really a model, but anyways, thanks, so you're just, for me, it's just there's problems that come with everything, and for me, it's sometimes women think you're not that smart because I don't have any plastic surgery. This is my natural hair color, my natural hair, and it's just like, it doesn't mean anything more or less to anyone. And so you just can't compare yourself. You just got to know who you are, who you want to be, see that vision, and do what it takes step by step to accomplish that.
Wow. Okay, that's fantastic. I know that this is great advice, and I really think that people are going to enjoy following you with your career. Yeah, it's really awesome. I can't believe how many movies you've been working on, and also coming at it from a business aspect, I think is so important as a producer. So,
and I do want to add one thing. I felt that was something that I could offer the industry, is a woman's perspective in film with business. As I meet a lot of creative people, they're just genius. I mean, they are so good at what they do. But when it comes to taking that great, very, very awesomely edited film, for instance, you got to sell that. You have to get tickets. You have to get it out to an audience. And so that's what I feel like personally. Sometimes I'm in a room and I'm like, actually, and I'll be with five guys, but actually women don't really, feel that when that's not typical during, and it could be a very woman experience like childbirth or something that, they literally, and you're that, it's good to be that voice. And it's just something that I want to be able to take these great messages and be able to make it profitable so that we can have more like it in the theaters, and I love that.
Yeah, and that's key. I mean, the distribution aspect of movies, I've seen movies that don't reach anybody because they didn't really have the P&A, like you were saying. So it's really depressing to the filmmakers after that. So getting people to know about that area is very important, and I'm really glad you're up here and that you did the panel. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wren Barnes, and I'm an executive producer as well as an actress, and I think you really should watch the Red Booth show.
We're the Fursonas crew, and you're watching the Red Booth.
Hi, this is Kimberly with the Red Booth Show, and we are here on location at the Harley Davidson shop in Park City. And I'm here with some filmmakers that have a documentary called Fursonas, and they had that in the Sundance Film Festival. And we're here with Dominic Rodriguez.
Hi, hello, everybody.
He's the director of the film. And then why don't you introduce yourselves as well?
Sure. My name is Olivia Vaughn, and I'm the producer.
My name's Christine Meyer, and I'm the editor.
Well, thanks so much for coming today, guys. So is this your first project that's been in the Slam Dance?
Yeah, first time filmmakers. We all collaborated on projects at Point Park University in Pittsburgh, and this actually started out as a senior thesis film that we expanded into a feature-length documentary. Wow. Yeah.
So you guys all met at the university in the film school there?
Yeah, we all went to Point Park in Pittsburgh, and it started as a 12-minute thesis film for us, and then we just kept filming over the span of 3 years off and on, and then it was kind of like a full-time edit for 1 year.
Yeah, that's very true. Definitely editing night, but it started so small and it's grown so big, which is great.
I can only imagine if you've been filming for that long, how much footage you guys had of all of this to kind of cut down, and that it would take that much time, obviously, to make it so wonderful. I've seen all of the different clips all throughout the documentary, and there's a lot of different locations, a lot of different events and people and everything. So you guys were traveling, I'm guessing, or is that local to where you lived?
Originally, we chose subjects that were close in proximity to us because we didn't start out with a ton of money or anything like that. So since we live in Pittsburgh, we would film people in Ohio and stuff like that. But then as the film went on, we went to Seattle at one point to talk to somebody. We went to Arizona when one of our subjects moved. So it's sort of become and the fandom, the furry fandom, is like a global fandom. So we wanted to have it have sort of a broad appeal as well.
We could probably make a whole other movie with all the subjects that didn't make it. Totally could do it, which is crazy. We interviewed so many people.
Fursonas Part 2 possibly in the works?
I mean, no, I guess, but I mean, there's a character in the film that I didn't get to interview, and that's sort of part of the conflict of the film, is wanting to get this interview. And so a dream of mine would be to one day interview him, and that would probably be its own project, but that's more of a pipe dream, I think.
Well, so I was wondering, how did you guys first come up with wanting to do this? Are any of you involved in the furry fandom?
So I am. I've been a furry for over 10 years. So I've been interested in this stuff for a long time. I kind of looked at it from a distance. I wasn't super... For anybody that doesn't know, furry is has something to do with cartoon animals, basically. So animals with human characteristics. There's this whole group of people that are fascinated by this idea. Some of them have these costumes, of their furry persona, or their fursona, as it is in the movie. And so yeah, I was interested in that for a long time, but as we started filming, I got more actively involved in the community, and they didn't even know that I was a furry for 2 years. I lied, so.
Yeah, we didn't know for a couple years. Which, looking back, I mean, that was sort of a little bit of a turning point, I guess, finding out that Dom was a furry, just in terms of what the story of the film would be. Because for anyone who's seen it, Dom is in the film. He is a character in the doc. But yeah, it kind of was a situation where we were looking for a story, and Anthrocon was in town in Pittsburgh in July. And Dom and one of our DPs basically went to the convention and just filmed and wanted to see what it was like, and it was amazing footage. So it was pretty easy to say yes to dedicating our documentary to that story. So.
Well, I think it's really good that you guys have put this out there, because honestly, it's kind of a whole mysterious thing to most people. They're like, what is that world, and what are they doing? And so it definitely kind of helps to explain more what's going on with that. And I noticed that there's characters that they just do it every now and then as sort of like they dress up on the weekend or do it as a persona, but the rest of the time they're dressed normally. Is that kind of the way it is for you most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't wear it every day. I wear it whenever I can because I like to go to events and stuff. So, like, every month, usually, there's some kind of furry convention happening. The biggest one in the world is in Pittsburgh, so that's why it was great for us. There's one in Chicago. I was just at one, like, a day before I came here that was in California. So it's like a worldwide thing, yeah.
I actually heard that there's an event here in Utah, too. There's a furry event here, is right? Yeah.
Furry Unlocked, I think it's like a gaming furry kind of thing. Yeah, okay. I've never been there personally, but I would check it out if I'm in town. Yeah.
Well, so being a part of Slamdance, I thought it would be cool to talk about that for a minute. You guys obviously were accepted, and I'm sure that was an exciting moment. So would you like to talk about that too?
Sure. Yeah, like you told me, so you should. You're the first one to find out, so you should. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, a couple months ago, we got a phone call from Slamdance, and it was sort of all of their documentary programmers letting us know we got in, which was insane because it's been such a whirlwind that, we weren't expecting anything really. We were like, it's really great we're finishing it and we want people to see it, but we never knew that we would get accepted to such an awesome festival. It's been amazing. They're super supportive. It's really all about original stories there. And yeah, there's just a lot of people over the years that keep coming back to Slamdance. So I think that's a good sign that it's a really tight-knit filmmaker community there. So hopefully this will be a relationship that we can have for years with them. So yeah.
Yeah, I was I'm very close to the project as the editor. So I was like, oh, it's my mom's going to see it. It's going to be great. And that's all that's going to happen with it. So when I found out we got into Slamdance, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's going to be an audience. And I was really, really excited. And I'm really excited to see if it goes anywhere else. That'd be awesome. It's not just my mom, Speaking
of that, I also think that when you've worked on something for as long as we have as this, you have to just convince yourself that even if nobody cares about it, that you did a good thing, because your time had to have been worthwhile. Yeah. So, at least with Christine and I, since it's so many of those nights, just I don't know if people are going to get this, but we kind of like it, I think. Yeah. And just hearing that people are getting it and that they are responding to it is just crazy. Because sometimes it doesn't even make sense to us because you're just so numb to the footage and stuff. So it's great, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a real labor of love to spend, years of your life working on something like this. So it's really exciting that it's now getting such exposure. And also, from what I understand, you guys just got a company is going to be distributing the documentary as well. So that's really great.
Yeah, so the company is Gravitas. They've been amazing. It's pretty recent, but so far so good. And the plan right now is to have video on demand by the summer. So they have the worldwide rights. So we'll see what happens. We definitely want some screenings in Pittsburgh. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. People can see it this year, so that's really exciting.
And was that something that came about because you guys were in Slamdance, or was that something you guys were talking with them beforehand?
You probably remember the timeline better than I wish I could talk about it.
We have an amazing executive producer, Danny Yord, who works at a production company called Animal in Pittsburgh. And he essentially came on as our sales agent at one point, and he was reaching out to different distributors. And Gravitas was a company where we had talked with them a couple times, and it just felt right. They really understood the story and what the best way to get it out there and for people to see it and how to promote it and the marketing. So we loved them, and it was amazing that they came back to us and were like, yeah, we want to do this. So it was the span of a couple months, but that's not that long. So it happened pretty quickly. And it was pretty much finalized like a week before Sundance, and then we announced the day of our premiere. So it's really cool.
Well, what I think is cool about it too is like so much of this community. I mean, that's a lot of what our audience is, because we want furries to be able to see it. I mean, it's for furries and non-furries, but obviously furries have a vested interest in this already. Yeah. And the fact that it can be online or widely available for people is so great, you know, because not everybody's going to just drive to an obscure film festival somewhere or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay. So I know probably spending this much time working on a documentary, which I know is pretty normal for feature-length documentaries and film projects like this, independent. I'm trying to find out, like, are you okay with talking about like how much you guys had to put into this, like a budget and stuff like that? If you don't want to, it's totally fine. But yeah,
I think it's okay. Is it okay?
Yeah. I mean, we can comment. I mean, it was very, very small budget, because obviously it started out as a student film. So our first like chunk of money came from crowdfunding. We used Indiegogo, and then a couple years later, we got a grant from the Sprout Fund in Pittsburgh. And then after that, that sustained us for years. And then when Animal, the production company, came on, they were giving us in-kind support. So we were able to edit in their suites and use their cameras, and kind of that last like boost to finish the film. So yeah, very, very low budget.
I mean, it's like just the crew, a car, and some furries. Yeah. Like, and food, which is like...
There's 5 of us.
Yeah, it was not a very expensive budget at all.
Right.
And then there was all the post-production time. Right. And I noticed there's some really cool graphics that are in the documentary as well. How did that come about?
So every time we introduce a character, we have this sort of establishing shot, and what I like to think of them as like establishing shots for a person or like a character instead of a place. So you see there Fursona, and like each one of those pieces of art was commissioned by a furry in the fandom. And the cool thing about that is like one of them was from a guy in China, one of them was from somebody in like Russia, and like most of them are not, you know, United States, or like maybe 2 of them. And then we have a really good motion graphics person that did like kind of brought them to life a little bit as well. So I was so thrilled about that, getting to showcase art, because art is such a big aspect of this community.
That's amazing. Well, they were really great inserts, and I thought they were really creative. I wanted to ask you, have you guys ever run into any problems with trying to do the documentary with like at the events or like filming or things like that?
Yes. That's sort of what informs a lot of the conflict of the film, actually, because there's an effort in the community to really just sort of put the best foot forward and kind of have a positive public image. And media, a lot of the times, is seen as a threat to that. And we want furries to like the film, but more than anything, I want people to talk about the film, and I don't want it to be a PR piece. So sometimes when you have those layers of complexity in it, I think that can sometimes be a threat when you say like, no, it's not going to be like a 2-minute thing. It's going to be an 80-minute film that actually gets into complexities and stuff. So Anthrocon is pretty strict about, you know, that kind of stuff. And so you'll see in the film, the chairman of Anthrocon, is an interesting person.
Well, you obviously have overcome a lot to get to this point, and you know, I'm really excited for you guys as filmmakers coming out of film school and coming to this point already so quickly. So I just want to say congratulations. And do you guys have any advice for other filmmakers out there or aspiring filmmakers?
Do you guys want to start, or should I? Yeah. Do you want? Okay, you start. I want to say something.
Okay. The biggest thing I would say is just to keep working on your own projects, whether you're in film school or working a full-time job, whether it has to do with the industry or not. If it's what you want to do, you have to just keep doing it. It's really easy to just kind of be tired or uninspired and not want to work on anything. And as long as you keep pushing yourself, hopefully something really great will come out of it, especially if you're with an awesome group of people. That's a big part of it. So
Yeah, I was actually going to say something exactly along those lines. But I would say is find your group and the people you can trust, those that will kick your butt into action, and just keep working on it. Like, I mean, I thought we were done like 6 times, and then they were like, keep going. You're so close, keep going. And I was like, okay. And that's all it really takes is someone to tell you that too. So find those people that will tell you, keep going. You need them.
Yours is better, but like, I mean, I feel almost bad offering advice because I do think some of this is just luck too, to be in the right place at the right time. So just be lucky is really great. Yeah, be lucky.
Well, definitely persisting and finding people that you really get along with and work well with. That's really good advice. So thank you guys so much for being on this show. I appreciate it, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this is Kimberly with the Red Booth Show, and we are here at the Sundance Film Festival in front of the infamous Egyptian Theater with Christina. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. I just love the Egyptian. It's like one of my favorite theaters, venues to come to when I come to Sundance. I always have a mission to see one film at least, usually a midnight film screening, but this is my last film of my Sundance trip, you want to say? And what a wild trip it's been. It's been wonderful. And I was in the parade with the Louisiana film office yesterday. They have wonderful things going on, and I'm looking forward to seeing this film. So I'm waiting for the waitlist line to come up because people sometimes can't make it to the theater. There's always a shot that somebody's going to be kind to you and give you a ticket.
So it's pretty hard to get in, I guess, right?
Well, yes, if you go by the way and say, oh, it's full and that's it, but if you take no for an answer. But I throw my wish out to the universe, and hopefully it comes back on the good winds and goodwill of people, and normally every year that always happens to me.
Well, that's good. I know you're one of the members of the Sundance Institute. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I belong to the Sundance Institute, and as a member, you get a credential and you are able to go into the New Frontier, which they had a lot of VR things happening today. It was packed.
Oh, yeah, we went in there too. It was really, really cool in there.
Yes, there's a lot of things happening, and you get to go to some of the lounges where they have the music, and I really like the live music that comes on rather than the really loud stuff, which loud music is great, but where it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Well, do you have any advice for people who want to come to Sundance?
Absolutely. Get here, enjoy the entire festival. There's so many things going on, and really kind of make your plan to see what films you think you would like to see. Pay attention to the changes or some of the waitlist rules, and always talk to them.
This special episode of the Red Booth Show at the Sundance Film Festival was brought to you by Nourishment Organic Healing Foods.